History is filled with incredible stories, some well-known, and others that have slipped through the cracks of time. Today on Epic Mind Journey, we're diving into 5 fascinating historical events you probably never knew about. Event 1. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In the summer of 1518, the residents of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, experienced one of the most bizarre events in history, the Dancing Plague. It all started when a woman named Frau Trophia began dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Within days, dozens more joined her, dancing without rest. The plague spread rapidly, and at its peak, nearly 400 people were dancing day and night. Local authorities, fearing a supernatural cause, encouraged the dancers by providing music and open spaces. But instead of helping, it only made things worse. Many dancers collapsed from exhaustion, and some even died from strokes or heart attacks. To this day, the cause of the dancing plague remains a mystery, though theories range from mass hysteria to ergot poisoning, a hallucinogenic mold that grows on damp rye. Event 2. The Great Emu War of Australia. In 1932, Australia found itself in an unexpected conflict against a flock of emus. Yes, you heard that right. The Great Emu War, as it came to be known, began when tens of thousands of emus migrated inland after their natural habitats were destroyed by drought. The birds, in search of food, invaded farmland in Western Australia, causing massive damage to crops. To combat this feathery invasion, the government deployed soldiers armed with machine guns. But the emus proved to be surprisingly elusive. Their speed and agility made them difficult targets, and despite several military campaigns, the soldiers managed to kill only a small number of the birds. The media had a field day, reporting that the emus had won the war. Eventually, the government abandoned the campaign, and the emus continued to roam the outback freely. The Great Emu War remains a peculiar and somewhat humorous chapter in Australian history. Event 3. The Tanganyika Laughter Epidemic of 1962. In 1962, a small village in Tanganyika, modern-day Tanzania, was struck by an outbreak of uncontrollable laughter that lasted for months. It all began at a mission-run boarding school for girls in the village of Kashasha. What started as a few students giggling quickly spread throughout the school, and before long, nearly 100 students were laughing uncontrollably. The laughter was not limited to the school. It spread to nearby villages, affecting thousands of people. Those afflicted would laugh for hours or even days, often accompanied by crying, fainting, and respiratory problems. The epidemic became so severe that several schools and businesses were forced to close. Despite extensive investigations, the cause of the Tanganyika laughter epidemic remains unclear. Some believe it was a case of mass hysteria triggered by stress and anxiety in a recently independent nation. Whatever the cause, the epidemic eventually subsided, leaving behind a baffling legacy. Event 4. The Battle of Los Angeles during WWII. In the early hours of February 25, 1942, just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the city of Los Angeles found itself under siege, or so it seemed. The night sky was filled with searchlights and the sound of anti-aircraft fire as the military responded to what they believed was an incoming Japanese air raid. For nearly an hour, the city was gripped by panic as anti-aircraft guns fired over 1,400 shells into the sky. But when the smoke cleared, there was no sign of enemy planes, no wreckage, no bombs, nothing. The event, which became known as the Battle of Los Angeles, remains one of the most mysterious incidents of World War II. Some have suggested that the battle was triggered by a weather balloon or even a case of wartime nerves. However, conspiracy theorists have long claimed that it was actually an encounter with unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. Whatever the truth, the Battle of Los Angeles remains an enduring mystery. Event 5. The 1904 Olympic Marathon Disaster. The marathon at the 1904 Olympic Games in St. Louis is remembered as one of the most chaotic and controversial events in Olympic history. Held on a hot and dusty day, the race was poorly organized, with little water available for the runners, and the course included steep hills and unpaved roads. The race quickly descended into chaos. One runner was chased by wild dogs, while another, Fred Loers, was disqualified after it was discovered he had hitched a ride in a car for part of the race. The eventual winner, Thomas Hicks, was barely able to finish, having been given strychnine, a toxic substance, in an attempt to boost his performance. Hicks crossed the finish line with the help of his trainers, who practically carried him across. He collapsed immediately afterward and had to be revived by doctors. The 1904 marathon is now infamous for its bizarre and dangerous conditions, a stark contrast to the modern, well-organized Olympic events we know today. From dancing plagues to emu wars, history is full of strange and fascinating stories that remind us of the unpredictability of the past. Which of these events surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Epic Mind Journey for more incredible tales from history and more.